Alright, so today we're in the flight experience in Sydney. We'll be doing a circuit flight around Hong Kong's Chek Airport from runway 25 right and landing back again at runway 25 right. The plane is currently parked at the gate with the engines off, so we'll just go through all the pre-flight, before start, before taxi, before takeoff. Procedures up into the circuit flight, as well as the landing, the taxi to the gate, and going to a cold and dark state. Alright, so we'll start off with our pre-flight procedures. Make sure that our IRS is set to nav, the yaw dampeners are on, navigation, transfer and display switches are both normal, and auto. Crossfeed is off. Fuel pumps, we'll just have the forward left one on. The APU is already running. Fasten seatbelt signs, the emergency exit lights are armed. Window heats are on, the probe heat should be off. Anti-ice off, hydraulic panel, we'll just set that. Recirc fans are on. Packs, we're currently set to auto. We'll have the isolation valve open, the engine and APU blade valves are open. Pressurization mode selector set to auto. Ring lights are off, anti-collision lights should be off, position is just steady, and we'll have the logos on. Our engine start switches should be set to off. We'll turn off all the external lights. We'll next program our EFIS, and the altimeter is 1009. We'll just, yep, cool. Alright, and then we'll just program our CDU. So we'll just go into menu, index, ident. So the ident page is correct. We'll just go to pause init, and we're not in YSSY, we're in VHHH, which is Chek Airport. We'll just set our IRS position. And we'll be taking off from runway 25 right and landing back again at Hong Kong, Chek Airport on runway 25 right. We'll just activate that. And we'll just go to a perf init. So our zero fuel weight will be 52.4 tons. We'll have reserves of 2 tons, cost index of 40. Our cruising altitude is going to be 3,000 feet. We'll set our N1 limits. We'll have an outside air temperature of 55 degrees Celsius, climb setting of 1. Takeoff ref will have flaps 5, center of gravity will be 23.5. So our V speeds, V1's 128, VR is 129, V2 is 141. We'll just quickly put in our fixes. We'll have fixes at 7 nautical miles and 10 nautical miles. Alright, so CDU program, so we'll just have a look at the approach chart. So we have a course heading of 253. And we'll set a V2 speed of 141. We'll have course heading of 253. Heading selected, altitude of 3,000 feet, and course heading for the co-pilot side at 253. Our flight directors are armed, which is good. Next we'll go to the main instrument panel, so landing gears are down, flaps are up. And we'll just set our auto brakes to RTO. We've got 6.5 tons of fuel. Our nav display and PFDs are all set. We got a V speeds, heading is correct, altimeters are correct. Alright, so the next thing we'll just go to the throttle quadrants. The speed brakes are obviously down, flaps are 0, and engine start levers are set to cut off. Our parking brake is set. We'll just go to the pedestal, so we'll just set in our ILS frequency, which is going to be 110.9. and we'll have a transponder on to transponder code 7370. Alright, so that is complete. We'll just do our pre-flight checklist. So navigation, transfer and display switches, normal auto, window heat is on, pressurization mode selector is auto, flight instruments heading 072, altimeters 1009, parking brake set, engine start levers cut off, pre-flight checklist is complete. Alright, so do before start procedures, flight deck doors closed and locked, rudder and aileron trim is set to 0 and 0. Our trim is 5.3, so that's set. CDU V speeds are all set. Our remote control panel is set. Windows are locked. Fuel pumps are going on. Passenger signs are on. Hydraulic panel is set. Anti-collision light is on. So we go through the before start checklist. Flight deck doors closed and locked. Fuel 6.5 tons, pumps are on, passenger signs are on, windows are locked, MCP V2 is 141, heading of 253, altitude of 3,000 feet, takeoff speeds V1 is 128, VR is 129, V2 is 141, CDU pre-flight is completed, rudder and aileron trim 3 and 0, taxi and takeoff briefing has been omitted, anti-collision light is on, before start checklist complete. Alright, so cockpit to ground, ready for pushback and engine start. We can release the brakes and start our pushback. So start sequence is 2 then 1. Let's start number 2. Cabin crew arm doors and cross check. So the N2 is approaching 18. We'll just have our engine start switches to idle. Starter cut out. So we'll start number 1. And we'll just stop a pushback here. Alright, starter cut out at engine 1. So parking brakes are set. Alright, so before taxi procedure, some generators going on, probe on, PAX sets auto, isolation valve is auto, APU blades are off, engine start switches to continuous, APU is going off, flaps 5, flight controls are checked, recalls checked, we're clear on the left and we're clear on the right. Alright, so before taxi checklist, generators are on, probe heat on, anti-ice off, isolation valve auto, engine start switches continuous, recalls checked, auto brake is RTO, engine start levers, idle detent, flight controls checked, ground equipment is clear. Before taxi checklist complete. Alright, so taxi and runway turn off lights are on. Now we'll just taxi to runway 25 right. So we'll do before takeoff checklist. So flaps are 5, green light, stabilizer trim is 5.3 units. Before takeoff checklist is complete. procedure. So our landing lights are on and our position is set to strobe and steady. Lined up nicely on runway 25 right, clear to take off. So set N1 to 40. Toga toga. Takeoff thrust is set, 80 knots. V1, rotate. And we have positive rate, gear up. And at 1,000 feet, we'll just reduce our pitch to 10 degrees. Flaps 1. And flaps up. And we'll just clean up the cockpit. So by cleaning up the cockpit, we turn off the auto brakes. Landing gear becomes up and off. Make sure the flaps are fully retracted. Landing lights and runway turn-off lights are off, and then the engine start switches are off. So we're approaching our cruising altitude of 3,000 feet, and then we'll soon execute our turn onto crosswind. So we're going to do a series of right-handed turns as part of the circuit. So we're going to turn to heading 343. So we'll just do our after takeoff checklist. So engine bleeds are on, packs, auto, landing gear up and off, flap up, no lights. After takeoff checklist is complete. So it's fairly turbulent today. We've got winds at 254 with winds at 5 knots but gusting up to 15 knots. So slightly windy today, and we're going to soon execute our turn onto downwind. So we're heading 073. So we'll start planning our descent into Hong Kong Takeoff International Airport. So we'll just program our CDU. So we'll be landing on runway 25 right on an ILS approach. So we'll be landing with flaps 30. Our approach speed will be 135 plus 5 knots, which makes it 140 at flaps 30. We have a course of 253 and an ILS frequency of 110.9, which we have already inputted, and we'll just set our minimums. So to radio altimeter 200 feet as our minimums. Now we'll have full stop landing order brake set to 2. So we'll have a descent checklist, recalls checked, order brakes setting 2, landing data VRAF of 135, minimums 200 feet, approach briefing completed, descent checklist complete. Approach checklist, altimeter is QNH 1009, approach checklist is complete. So we'll just start descending to 2,000 feet. So we're at 2,000 feet, we'll just go to flaps 1 now. We'll slow it to 210. Engine start switches to continuous. And then we'll put our heading onto base, which will be 163. Turbulent today, as you're probably all aware. Now we just go to flaps 5. Fortunately, our circuit plan takes us fairly close to these mountains here. We'll go gear down. flaps 15. Slow to 160.
1,000.
And we'll just arm our speed brakes. Taxi, runway turn off lights and landing lights are on.
500.
And we'll just set our heading onto final, which is 253. And we'll start executing our turn. Sure is turbulent today. So we're just intercepting the glide slope. And we'll soon drop our flaps to flaps 30, go to speed of 140, and we'll do our landing checklist. So landing checklist, engine start switch is continuous, speed brake is armed, landing gear down 3 green, flaps 30, green light. Landing checklist is complete. Take the auto throttle off. Checked. Stable.
Approaching minimums.
Landing.
Minimums. 100. 50, 30, 20, 10. 10.
Small is deployed, reverse, tune reverse. Knots manual braking. That was quite a bumpy landing. So we'll just clean up the cockpit now. So speed brakes are up. Stow the flaps. So right at the gate, we'll just apply the parking brake. Alright, so we'll turn the APUs on, and then we'll turn off the engines. So that's engine start levers to cut off. Alright, so fuel pumps going off except for the forward left one. Hydraulic panels set, isolations open, APU bleeds are open. The turner transponder off, the anti-collision light is off, fasten seatbelt signs off. Alright, so shutdown checklist, fuel pumps are off, probe heat is off, hydraulic panel is set, flaps are up, parking brake is set, engine start levers are cut off, weather radar is off. Shutdown checklist complete, and we'll just go to our cold and dark state, so we'll secure the airplane. IRS is off, yaw dampener is off, fuel pumps are all off. We'll turn off the emergency exit signs, window heat, all is going off, packs are going off, and then we'll turn the APU off, and then we'll turn the batteries off. So secure checklist, IRS is off. Emergency exit light is off, window heat is off, packs off. Secure checklist is complete. And that concludes the circuit flight.